Okay, once again, good evening. Thank you for joining us today for another lively session with the Black Belts. So today, our host is going to be Mr. MAHFUZ Alabidun. He is the CEO of Inmates Educational Foundation. He is a graduate of Lagos State University, where he studied education administration. He also attended Michael Otedola College of Primary Education, where he received an NCE. He is also a recipient of the Mohammed Sanusi SDG Challenge, and he's also a black belt. So you're welcome. Recently, we were voting for him in the peak milk competition, and I think he came fifth in that competition. So he's an active member of the community. He's an educator. We would like him to share his experience with us, how being a black belt has helped him impact his community and the importance of what he does. Okay, so over to you, MAHFUZ. You're welcome.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and it's my pleasure to be here once again. I know I've been here maybe last year to also share one of my project. So it's my pleasure to be here, and just like Ajia Fatima have said, it's always interesting to be part of this family, because you learn and you also share what you learn. So it's not just about learning, but it's also about sharing what you learn. So I'm humbled to be part of this session. So like she introduced me, my project is on prison education, and we started the project in 2018. And since 2018 till date, we've made a lot of progress. So I'll be sharing some of our in-depth activities and a lot about what we have done, what we have been doing, and what we also intend to do, and perhaps some of our achievements over time. So let me start with the story behind what we do. Sometimes in 2017, I visited the correctional facility, and there was this inmate that was brought in, just like the normal way they bring in new people who have committed crimes. So this person was, that should be like his fifth time as an inmate. So he has been going and coming back, going and coming back. And at the last time, so I had the opportunity of meeting the controller of that particular prison. And he told me that this guy has been here for almost fifth time. And they called him to ask why has he always been coming. He said, well, the community has always been very challenging, that he used to think that by the time he leave the prison, he will be able to get something to do. But at the end of the day, he could not get something. That the last one that he was released and was now brought back. The last one he was released, he got a security job. And while he was working as a security man, so there was this information that leaked to his boss that he was an ex-convict. So the boss was not really feeling comfortable working with him. So at that point, the boss had to lay him off, just saying that he was planning to travel abroad. So he laid him off. So after some time that he was unable to get another meaningful job, he had to, go back to that place to see maybe his boss is back and see what he can do. But unfortunately, by the time he got there, he discovered that there was another security man in that particular place. So he asked him, where is Oga? He said, Oga is inside. He said, do you have information that there's that there's somebody here before now? He said yes, that the information he's got was that the person is an ex-convict and the boss is not comfortable working with him. So he felt bad and he felt, okay, if that's the case, he should even commit another crime and go back to the prison. So I felt challenged that, yes, I don't have anything to do than to give education because to some extent I'm opportune to be educated. So that was why I took up the challenge of, liberating and reforming through education. And a lot of them, many of them have seen it as also a way to be opportune, because the way our correctional facility is in the correctional center, is just a place where they just drop people without nothing, without anything. And at the end of the day, if the time is completed, you discover that a lot of them are not really doing anything. Rather they beg or they even commit another crime to go back. So from my research, my thesis during the undergraduate and a lot of things that I've discovered is that 7 out of 10 of these inmates are either drop out or do not have access to education. And when you're talking about education, it is something, it's an opportunity it's an opportunity to a lot of things in life. So where we are today is because we are educated. That gives us a leverage to what we are doing. So we also want to see how we can, reform them through this system by giving them education. And we've also extended to the juveniles because we know that we have some other young people who are criminals. Some of them are not really criminals. Some of them may just be stubborn, and maybe even their parents are not really taking care of them, and then they find themselves in that situation. So we started in 2017, and we registered fully in 2017. Yeah, next slide. So our mission is to provide formal and quality education to inmates who are dropouts, to change the narrative that a lot of them are illiterate, and to become a perpetual, to build them for the nation, to provide adequate welfare and facility for teaching and learning in the Nigerian correctional facility. It's only in Nigeria that we don't have yes, the new constitution, the new acts of the correctional facility gives room for education, but we don't know what has happened over time, that there is no structure or building for correctional education. So we, on our part, we try as much as possible to build something like that, like we did in Badagry. We're able to build a structure where we even, build chairs and tables and all these things to ensure that they learn. So we also do some of these things, and to advocate for all-inclusive education in juvenile and the normal correctional centers. Next slide. So our vision is to envision a country where citizens who are previously ex-convicts can be reintegrated back to the society as nation builders through education. This is something that we feel that after education and empowerment, which I'm also going to talk about, we believe that majority of them can now become a nation builders, which we believe is also going to assist the nation. And, the second one is talking about providing them access to education, to the advanced learning, which is degree or maybe diploma. So we have some that we are planning to enroll by next year to National Open University, and some are even in the National Open University. Next slide. Okay, so I'll just run through this. Board members, we have 5 of them, Dr. Isaac. Next slide, Dr. Isaac, Adebayo, myself. Then we have Professor Khairat. She is one of our core consultants in terms of guidance and counseling and all that. Next slide. So we have Mr. Rashid Ali is our legal advisor. And the next slide, Then we have Mr. Salaudin is our consultant in terms of the quality of what we teach, and the curriculum consultant is also one of us, and is one of the head of schools in, I think, Crescent in VI. So the management team, we have about 5 of us. One of my lecturer is the measurement and evaluation officer, and he has been doing very well to ensure that we put things in order. Then we have Mr. Our programs manager, myself, the admin. I think Shukrot Olofela is on call. She's our admin officer. Then we also have Alawi as our account officer. So these are just to put it in shape that, okay, everything is well structured. Next slide. Okay, so the nature of our project. Okay, let's go back to, okay, so this is like our organizational structure. Never mind that it's not well. So we have the board, we have the executive director, we have the programs manager, the admin, so the measurement and evaluation, the communication officer. So the project manager sees through, the programs manager is one that coordinates all our coordinators. So presently we are in Lagos, we are in Ebonyi State, and we are also, by next year, by the grace of God, we'll be going to Osun State instead of Ogun State. We actually got a grant recently, so which requires that we have to be in Osun State. So the project manager would, is the one in charge of the coordination of all these people. And then we have a large chunk of volunteers. So from all these states that I've mentioned, so he is the one that also, they report to him directly. The next slide. So our volunteers, in the last 4 years that we've started, so we've always been working with people who volunteers. So the people who volunteer are the people that are our strength. And so we have two major people that are core volunteers. We have the core members who are serving, like for Ebonyi State, the major people who support in terms of volunteering are the core members, and most likely in Osun, we are also going to be using the core members. In Lagos, we use the university students as part of our core volunteers. So we have about 50 of them, and most likely we may be extending more by next year, inshallah. Next slide. Okay, so please, can you hear me? Can you hear me at all?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, and I'm sure everyone
can hear you. Yes, I can.
Okay. So our success story. So in the last 4 years, we have been able to do some of the things that we are going to be showing. One, I remember when we started, there was no, in Kirikiri, there was no book, no materials to work with. So we had to rally around and meet people who can donate books to give to them, and we're able to equip the library in Kirikiri maximum prison and both medium as well. Then also we were able to got forms, GCE form for about 15 of the inmates in Kirikiri at that year. So they did the exam and they also passed the exam. Next slide. So we had about 70 inmates who performed excellently. And also we started the literacy classes for those who could not read and write. So another thing is that we don't really consider all the inmates because there is no resources to even have a lot of them on board. So what we do most times is we do education seminar to prepare them and test their ability to see how many of them will be ready and serious for and the session. The next slide. So also we have the people in the higher institution. Like for instance, we have about 5 who were able to enroll in Kirikiri for the National Open University. We have about in Ebonyi State, we have 2, and in Badagry, we are planning to enroll about 3 of them. So also in 2021, we started the juvenile session. So in the juvenile section, we don't only take the literacy class, we also do guidance and counseling sessions, and we also do some kind of career workshop for them as well, and as well as book, as well as something on, book read and write competition, so that we can use that to instill in them a kind of a culture of reading and writing, culture. So for next year, we are planning to have something on tech and to support them in ensuring that they can do some programming, coding, and all that. We know the world is, we are now in the 21st century where everybody must be able to use, where everybody must be digitally inclined and all that. So we are also considering that for next year. Next slide. So I think these are just pictures. Next slide. So this is just a kind of the book donation that I talked about. Next slide. So 2020, when we finished the education seminar, these are our team members that we did that. Next slide. Okay, so this is the exam seminar that we did. We had somebody from WAEC that spoke to them before the commencement of the exams, and so we just prepared them to guide them on what they need to do and how they need to write the exam. And presently we have about 15 inmates also writing the GC and NECO exam. In Ebonyi State, we have about 10 who we paid their exam and they are writing the exam. And in Lagos, we have 5. So I was there, I think 2 weeks ago, to see how effective they've been going with the exam. Next slide. So this was the education seminar for the juveniles. They are the young offenders who are presently in Oregon. So we go there at least twice a week to ensure that they also have access to education. Next slide. So this is just one of our pictures with the prison staff. Next slide. Okay, these are some of the inmates that we have in Kirikiri prison. Next slide. So early this year, we're able to donate about 800 copies of exercise books to inmates in Abakaliki Correctional Facility. So like I said, not all correctional facilities have the school building, but unlike Kirikiri, unlike Abakaliki, there is a structure. And in fact, the government even employed full-time teachers. So what we do most times is we support the teachers in teaching, and we also do some guidance in that particular place. Next slide. Okay, so these are just the management team and some of our team members in Abakaliki. Next slide. So this is just an activities of our class with the juvenile. Next slide. So she is our coordinator in Ebonyi State, Florence. So she coordinates the activities over there. Next slide. So Dr. Aziz is one of our teachers for the National Open University. So he's also one of our resource person. So he's also one of us. Next slide. So these are some of our programs and activities that we do. We do majorly inmate tutorial and school enrollment. So like I said, for next year in Osun, we'll be doing the major enrollment, and then we'll do education seminar. Then the book donation and book fair, we'll be calling for people to donate books. We know some people have books that maybe textbooks and maybe notebooks that they don't really, they will not be using. So we'll be calling for that to support the inmates. Then also the inmate educational award. So this is so the inmate educational award, for those who are writing the national the O-level exams. So we are looking for a way to motivate them. So we'll be giving some of them who performed excellently an award for doing very well. And some who are performing very well in their class activities will also be giving them an award. Then examination, enrollment, and certification. So this is just like the GCE exams that they are doing. The process of enrollment and tutorial will also be considered. Then Readers and Writers Club. This is, like I said, for the juveniles, just to instill in them culture of reading and writing. And then career workshop for the juveniles as well, to prepare them for the career ahead, because we know that they would not be there forever. So it's just a way to reshaping them and prepare them ahead of the future. Next slide. So our in-house program, we used to have volunteers meet and greets. All our volunteers, we come together, prepare them, and they meet themselves, they network. Then also trainings. We also have training for next year. We'll be having some trainings, and some of our management team will also be going to Osun for some kind of retreat and all that. So then International World Teachers Day will also be celebrating all our teachers, our frontliners as well. Next slide. So these are our contacts, our social media handles. You can reach us on any of those particular handles. Next slide. So my conclusion is that at Inmate Education Foundation, I believe prison is an isolation center, but prison education is community building. By doing this, we believe is a community building, because by the time these people leave the correctional facilities, they leave for better. So if we don't see them as people that we need to support, they may come back and haunt us. Like the case of people that left the Kuje prison, there are some of them that we had that they caught them being armed robbers, some of them in Lagos with marijuana, some of them in Ogun State as criminals. These are people that ordinarily, if it was that there was a reformation for them, they won't be where they are. So we call on everybody to see this as something that we all have to do, so that they don't come back and haunt us. Next slide. So these are some of our team members. Next slide. So our partners, I need to talk about this. Our partners, the Nigerian Correctional Center, they have always been one of our backbone. So without them, we wouldn't have been talking about this project. Then we also talk about the 1 million teachers. I know all of us are Black Beta, so directly we are all family. So 1 million teachers even gave us their platform that all our volunteers would have access to the course without paying a dime. I think that is one of the greatest, contribution. Then we also have HHMS2 challenge, like I was introduced. One of the first cohorts of the HHMS2 SDG challenge, and we've really benefited a lot from that. We got fund, we got network, we got access to a lot of people. who are still supporting us both locally and internationally. So, and we got a lot of mentors who are still supporting us. Next slide. So this is just a snippet of the, so on the day of the unveiling, we had the opportunity of meeting people. I know that day I met the governor of Kaduna, and he gave me his complimentary card. And I also met the governor of Lagos State, and we met a lot of people. So the second picture is just the group of all our 10 cohorts. They are all doing wonderfully well, and I'm sure you meet them maybe sometimes as well. So next slide. Okay, so the Lagos State Agency for Mass Education is also one of our strongest partners. You know, they also pay some of our volunteers every month. And by next year, they've promised to also extend our partnership to Badagry Correctional Center. So our volunteers in Badagry will also be paid as well. And they've also been providing resources, materials, and all that is needed. So instead of us stressing ourselves to get these resources, they've also been doing that for us. Then picnic, recently I was one of the 10 selected unstoppable humans of change. Is one of the unique challenge ever from that kind of brand. I think the call was about 3,000. It was break down to 20 from 20 to 10, and the 10 of us are winners. So the 10 of us are unstoppable humans of change. And the voting came. I want to appreciate everybody who voted and everybody who also shared. I saw the zeal when it was shared for people to vote. So thank you. I came fifth, and the gift was 1 million naira and a 6 months of picnic distribution. So indirectly, if you come to my house, you see a lot of picnic, and yeah, so if you can come, you get a picnic package. So that is one of the that's one of the interesting thing about the the challenge. So, and we are hoping to also extend our partnership to them. We are working on a proposal for them to also support our projects. Then the Insight Alliance, they are based in I think Canada or US. So they'll be training our team members on the transforming lives, and they've also promised to also raise funds for what we do. So this is also one of the network that we got from HHMS2 SDG Challenge. Then the Incarcerations Nations Network is just a network of people who are doing something on prison education, prison as a whole. So we are also part of them. So we also get some network and opportunities from that end as well. Next slide. So on this note, I want to say thank you to everyone for listening. This is what we do. This is who we are. I want to appreciate everybody. And I think Shukro and Khadija are on this call. So thank you, and thank you very well. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, MAHFUZ. May Allah continue to strengthen you and increase you in knowledge for all the great work you do in the community. A lot of us don't even think twice about the people in correctional centers or the inmates. We don't think about them, but by empowering them, by educating them, you are taking them out of crime and giving them a hope, giving them light at the end of the tunnel. So I think you're doing a wonderful job. Well done. More grease to your elbows. So I was wondering as I was listening to your brief, is it just education that you give them? Is there any counseling? One of the things that we do in the 1 Million Teachers, there is a unit about when trauma goes to school. And I think being separated from your family at a young age must be very traumatic. What about the psychological support for these people? I wanted to ask.
Yes, thank you very much for that. I forgot to mention Dr. Ivy Bunk. I think she's the founder of
Trauma
Trauma
goes to
Group.
school.
So she has
Yes.
always been part of us, and she gave us some documents, and we are working together. By next day, we are going to involve her, but we are doing we are doing the local improvisation. So Shukra is a guidance and counseling expert, and one of our board members is also in that field, Professor Sulaiman. So we also do some counseling for them as well, to ensure that they are guided for those who need it. And and that's why the juvenile are the most people that we consider for that, because the adults, of course, they know what they were doing. So some of them is just not having the opportunity that led them to the crime. So we also do something in that realm. And also the empowerment is what we are considering as well. So we are discussing with some people who are doing entrepreneur, package and all these programs. So we're also working with them. So people who have gotten their O-level certificates, so we also will be opening them to some of these opportunities of empowerment. And then we now talk about, okay, how do we get funds to start up their project and all that? So that's also in pipeline, but we believe so much in education first, because that gives them a greater opportunity to whatever they'll be having at the end of it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Somebody, I don't know your name, Infinix Hot 8. Your hand has been up. Did you want to say something? Infinix Hot 8. Did you want to speak?
Yes, I want to speak, ma.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, good. I respect the sitting. How is it? How it work?
Fine,
Yes, my name.
thank you.
Yes,
Fine,
my name is
you.
Wakar Musa from Kano State.
Okay.
I really appreciate being amongst you people. And I had the person who is just finished, the person that have just finished presenting. In fact, I want to now ask, looking at the people that are living in this prison, are they now going, giving them this career, like taking activities or teaching them a skill acquisition, or is only to give them educational knowledge without giving them something that maybe at the end of when they come out from the prison, they are going to be given something to do? Thank you very much, ma.
Okay, I think he mentioned a bit about the skills acquisition, but I'll let him talk for himself.
Okay, thank you very much, ma.
Okay, yes.
Okay, I have mentioned about the skill empowerment that we are looking up to. For those who are doing shoemaking and those who are doing, some of these sewing and, something on soap making and all these things that can give them the opportunity as little as their fund can take. So we are actually creating a partnership deal with some of these people. So, but we don't just want people to come, but we want people that would give finance as well. So, there are some organizations that by the time you are trained, they will also give you some funds to start up. So that's what we are looking up for. And yeah, it's part of our plan. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I think Victoria, remember, you have a question? Victoria, can you hear me?
Yes, ma, I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead, Victoria.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Alabidun, and congratulations once again.
Yeah, thank you.
You are doing great. My question is, the training, is it on physical contact or online? And if one wants to be a volunteer, how can one be? And again, is it the normal scheme? That is the normal school scheme that is being used to to
Yes.
teach these inmates?
Okay. So thank you for that question. Basically, you know the nature of the correctional facility. You can't use anything digital at the moment, but we are working with the government, the management, to see how we can, work this out. We've been on it since 2020, and I hope we are able to scale through such that we can also involve digital classes, digital classroom in the correctional center. So in that way, our volunteers may not really need to go before they teach. So we are still on that. And for the juvenile, so we've been doing some digital work, and we are going to do like programming programming classes for them for next year and some other things. So that is on pipeline for next year by the grace of God. And the second one, which is about volunteering, well, it depends on where you are. We're in Lagos, we're in Ebonyi State, and most likely in Osun by next year, by God's grace. So you can actually chat me up. I'll drop my mail. So if you're interested, we'll talk more about that. Then on the issue of the curriculum, yes, we still use the universal basic curriculum, but we are working with some experts to see how we can design a special curriculum for those in the correctional facility, as it talks about the education and the reformation. But as we speak, we are still using the universal basic curriculum for teaching and learning and all that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Victoria. Does anybody else have any other questions they would like to ask? Any other questions? No more questions? Okay then. Once again, thank you so much, MAHFUZ Alabidun, for sharing your time with us and sharing your experience and your expertise. I think you said you were going to leave your contact details, or should I share that slide that had all your, I think there was a particular slide, a particular page that had, there was one page, I think, this one. Okay. So this is all the information. These are all his social media handles, email, website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and his phone number. If you are considering volunteering for Inmates Educational Foundation, you can contact MAHFUZ on these social handles. Are there any questions in the chat? Okay, he's put in email address. Okay, he has just added his email address. Okay. So if there are no further questions, we're going to call it a day. Thank you so much for all that participated and joined in today's session. Take care. Have a nice evening. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. And I see one of my mentor at the HP,
Mentees
Mr. David.
yeah.
Mentee, so thank you very much, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. MAHFUZ. Good to hear from you.
Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.